This week we have a special prize. The new book that's been written by Ben Lieberman, Odd Jobs, which is getting great reviews, available on Amazon.com if you want to check it out, where it gets great reviews as well. Let me read you two of the things that were written about this. James Patterson, one of our great novelists. Odd Jobs, a tightly wound, well-written mystery that I read in one sitting. And Donald Trump. How about this? Odd Jobs, an exciting and enjoyable read. I would love to get the main character, Kevin Davenport, as a project manager on my show. So the winner of the B-Team Week in Review today gets an autographed copy of Odd Jobs by Ben Lieberman, who joins us now. Ben, it's Bruce Murray. It's Bill Pidto. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Bruce. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
And I got to tell you, Ben, I've given Bill a little background into you, and he's fascinated by it because let's share your story. I want to talk about the book, which is a terrific book, but you're not a novelist. You're a guy that one day wanted to sit down and write a book, had to go to classes for it. Give people a little background into how you sat down and did this.
Sure. You know what? I guess by day I'm an institutional bond trader. I was even at Lehman Brothers in the final days, so I was really in the belly of the beast. I always admired great fiction, whether it be movies or a good book, and thought it'd be cool if I could do that. So I started taking classes at NYU and Columbia. I started participating in some writers' workshops. Then I decided to take a shot at a novel. Problem is, between family, coaching, and that pesky job thing, it was there wasn't a lot of time available. So I kind of did it at the crack of dawn. I would start writing across the street from our offices, and I'd be there like 6 a.m. I'd write from 6 to 7:25ish, and then I'd walk across the street. So I was trying to write good fiction. And I went across the street, got on the morning call, heard them pitch the newest subprime deal, and that's where I learned about great fiction. And then, that's kind of where it started. I just had this need to do this, and I did it in the mornings, and that was the only time that's the only time people weren't making plans with me. So I got it done then, and that's how it got started.
I mean, it's fascinating because, a lot of people take writers' workshops. I don't know how many people are able to do the writers' workshops and turn it into a novel that's being really, highly praised. I mean, was this a question of being taught, or did you have an innate natural ability to do this?
That's a really good question. I would say that definitely that people that there's certain levels where people have something that's innate, that they see the world a little bit different, but there's definitely things that get done in the process that really bring it out, that really help you. Between editing and feedback that you get and making adjustments, there's definitely a lot of that goes on. So I'd say a little bit of both.
Bill would like to ask you some financial questions.
There's major concern about a pull back your thoughts right now. Not happy with the action. You have an assessment?
You break it. You're not happy with what?
The pullback today, is this the beginning of a sustained downtrend, you think, or not?
I'm a bond guy here, but I've got some stocks too, so I'm feeling your pain as well.
See, here's Bill's problem. Bill's problem is that his kids are 10, 11 years from going to college. Yours are right around the corner, so all the savings are in place. Bill's worried that he won't be able to educate his kids in about a decade. The 529 not doing that well, right, Bill?
Not today.
Not doing well today. All right, talking with Ben Lieberman, author of Odd Jobs. And Ben, how long did it take you to write the book?
All right, so considering that I was doing this for an hour and a half clips at a time, it's a little embarrassing admitting it took about six and a half years.
6.5 years to write this.
Now, the reviews have been great. I mean, would you ultimately like to move on and be a full-time author? I mean, what are the economics involved? I mean, is it possible?
Sure. I mean, if you take a look at you ask a couple questions. You say yes. I mean, to be able to do this more commercially would be something I would love to be able to do. The economics are there at a certain level. It takes a while to get there. John Grisham was 3 books in before anybody heard of him, and while he was a lawyer doing it, he would kind of sell. Not kind of. He actually sold books on the courthouse steps in between cases. And James Patterson, who gave me that blurb, was an advertising executive. He started out as a copywriter, wrote his first book when he was 27, I believe, and then he was CEO of Thompson, I think, J. Walter Thompson, and then but one of the major advertising agencies, and eventually, the way he describes himself is he's a recovering ad man. So he transitioned into this franchise that he's developed.
All right, give people a little background on the book. Kevin Davenport, the protagonist, he's dealing with some stress in his life. He's got some jobs. There is a backdrop of sports in this, including a point-shaving scandal, which, by the way, Ben, offended me. As an alumni of Tulane, I will say that cut me right to the heart. But tell people about the book, what the story's about, because it really is. I don't want to say it's just for guys, but this is a guy's book. Let's be fair.
I'd say it's a fair statement that it's definitely leaning towards guys. Although I have been getting some good feedback from women, and I was just invited to a women's book club where they voted to take this. So I'll get you some more feedback on that. How 20 women at one time, we'll see it. But I definitely think it is fair to say that it's more of a guy's story. The 5-second version of it, and then I can give you a little bit more detail. But the 5-second version, I'd call it like Sopranos meets Animal House with a lot of sports throughout. Our Job's a crime thriller about a college kid who, like many of today's kids, has to pay his way through school by taking whatever job comes along. He battles in some club fights and gets involved in being a bookie, and that's where a lot of the sports action gets started. It's not all sports, though. One of these jobs is working in a mob-controlled meat factory, and that pretty much stinks. And what stinks even more is during this time he learns who killed his father. So now he has to even the score, or he's going to die trying. So what would you do if you found out who killed your father? And what if that person is still out there and ruining other families? Could you sit still and watch? What if going to the police was not only ineffective, but it was like virtual suicide? How would you stop them? The different crazy jobs and situations, we try to have the readers laughing, but the hazard's real, and this protagonist is in way over his head.
How'd you come up with the idea?
That's a good question. You know what? I think that now that I've been in the workforce for 20 years, and I run across some successful people. I think that I think there's a lot of pride that people have in the jobs that they had back in the day and what they did. Had to do then and what they do now. There's kind of a gleam in their eye when they talk about that. And I thought incorporating that into a really good crime thriller would be a lot of fun. And ultimately, I've been getting a lot of good feedback that way. People tell me the jobs that they had. I was digging graves. I was, selling light bulbs. I was selling bulb. People have stories and places. And I tried to capture that. I tried to get that spirit, and I tried to mix in a lot of these jobs so they're almost characters themselves in the story.
All of it's very interesting, but what struck me most, Bill, I don't know if this caught you. Are you saying if we become novelists, we can be surrounded by 20 women?
I'll let you know how that goes.
Because I'd like to know how that goes. Again, the book, Ben Lieberman, Odd Jobs. It's available on Amazon.com. Ben, is there a website? Where else can you pick up the book?
Yeah, LiebermanBooks.com, spelled Lieberman books.com. You get on Amazon. The publisher is Sterling House Publishers, and you can get it there too. And shortly it'll be in bookstores. But that's being rolled out now. So the best place to get it is Amazon and Sterling House Publishers. And please visit my website, LiebermanBooks.com.
Ben, I'm just curious. How do you get a pop or a plug from such well-known people? Is that something that the publishing agent tries to get involved with, or how does that work?
They were both, those two plugs I got myself, actually. So it was kind of taking responsibility for my own situation.
How much did you pay him, Ben? Come on.
How much could you pay Trump? How much you going to pay Trump?
Paid them nothing. Paid them nothing. I did a good job stalking, though, so give me credit for that. But with Patterson, I met with him, and I asked him for the blurb. He said he said, get me the manuscript, and so and he said, get me a letter with it too. So I wrote a little bit of a letter, and I bumped into Bill Clinton before that, and I told him that I met Bill Clinton in a restaurant, and I spoke with him about human rights in China for 15 minutes, but I was more nervous talking with you about my novel, and any thoughts, criticism, or blurbs would really be appreciated. So he called me back actually 2 days later. I mean, he only had the manuscript for 2 days, and he said, all right, get a pencil, and he gave me this blurb, and then he spent a half hour on the phone with me talking about the process that he did, what I'm trying to get out of it. He was just terrific. He was just a really great guy, and if you think about it, like somebody like that, he's got all the money he can ask for, and he's got all the fame at this level, and he's kind of accomplished what he needed. Like, what was his motivation of doing something like that? And the only thing I could come up with is just a really good guy.
Yeah, obviously. And
well, he must have really liked what he read,
yeah,
because if he didn't, he wouldn't have done that.
And it is an easy read. It's a great accomplishment. Again, Odd Jobs. Ben Lieberman is the author. You can find it at Amazon.com, LiebermanBooks.com, Lieberman Books.com. Ben, we are going to give this out. We lost him? He's gone. Ben Lieberman is gone. But anyway, it's great. We're going to give this out to our weekly winner for the week in review, and we'll do that when we